session already. And
Oh,
then once I'm done here, I have another session, which is Nigeria. So if I've done, that's Nigeria now.
oh my
So
God.
it's a lot of work, but we're more than able.
Absolutely. And did you do your morning ritual today? My recent interview with you, you had mentioned you have your walk daily. And I
Yes.
know you told us during our session with you that you also, after your prayer, you sometimes meditate. So did you do that
Yes.
today?
I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I mean, that's what keeps me balanced, and
Mm,
that's what keeps my energy going. I mean, people ask
mm,
that question all the time, and
mm,
I say that if you don't maintain serenity,
mm.
you can't do what I'm doing,
Yep,
because you're going to break down basically,
yep.
So if I can create that time to
Mm-hmm.
do my morning ritual, I'm fine. Yes,
Mm.
so I've done today already. Yeah.
Great. And how do you feel? Are you energized?
Of course, I'm energized. I feel very, very elevated, and I feel very awesome within my body.
Mhm.
And when I finished my first session, I was a bit, and when I'm drained like that, I cook. So I had to make a foriro, and
Oh,
I'm very good now.
Efonira what, bros?
A foriro with shaki and goat meat and chicken.
Oh, okay. All right. So we have quite a number of people here. I will just get right into the session. But before we go into the topic of today, you had a very, big event, and a few weeks back, I think it was last week,
Last
the
week, yeah.
African family delegates. For those who don't know, you want to quickly just tell us about it and what that is all about.
Okay, African Family Delegate Conference was, May 4th, 15th of every year is International Day of the Family by UN. So 7 years ago, we discovered that there was nothing like that being celebrated in Nigeria. It was almost as if the year passed by and people didn't bother to do anything. So we decided to do something. And the moment we decided to do that, the United Nations Information Center reached out and they said they would like to partner with us. And also, it was an opportunity to begin to bring to the fore some of the things we've done in the family life sector in setting it up to be more professional. So it was a way to launch out, to let people know that we have an existing family life sector in Nigeria that is professional and where people can get help. So that was how we started. And it's been, an amazing experience because we now have people join from other African countries and all. Hopefully, from next year, we will move it around other African countries. But it's basically to promote professionalism and to celebrate the International Day of the Family. Yeah.
Oh, great. I mean, I didn't even know there was the day set aside for family. I know people, countries all over the world have family day, or
Yeah.
like a UN day. But when I saw your event on Facebook, like, oh, so
Yes.
it's a thing. So, well,
Yes.
thank you so much for the amazing work you do and you continue to do to, make the society a safe and sane place. We
Yeah.
appreciate you. So, guys, this is Chris Fowowe. I'm sure a lot of you know him. He's a family therapist. See, if this man drilled you, we had 13-week session. I was telling one of my mentees yesterday, I said, you need to get on Praise's session. Like after that 13 weeks, I said, there was just something in me that tweaked. I could feel
Mm.
it. I
Mm.
had to release a lot of things. I realized that I had a lot of baggages that I was carrying in my
Mm.
soul, in my heart. So, when we finished those sessions, I would read through again through our workbook to see how I can improve myself. And I'm
Mm.
getting better every day. I told you, I said, I'll make you proud. I'll keep it.
I'm really proud of you, Esther. The you I've always seen is the you that runs the talk show. That's the you I've always seen. I'm not sure anybody has that power around Nigeria that I've seen, who has been able to, combine compassion, with firmness, and that's what you represent. You're able to listen to people's story without judgment. You're able to stand for people. I've seen you when you were starting out. I have seen you, when you were totally broken, without fighting back, without fighting that. You've had the chance to hurt people badly who hurts you, but you did not take that chance. So if there is anybody who should sit and listen to people and help them balance the perspective, and I think it's you. So I believe that why God took you through every route is taking you through is to arrive here. So Until I see your talk show, then I'm going to be fighting you. So we wait for this to move into YouTube and it
Yeah,
becomes something global that, I mean,
yeah,
who will come on your platform? Because you are a
yeah,
kingmaker and
yeah.
you have to understand that.
Thank you so much. I look forward to that. Don't, I mean, it's on my vision board. And that's another thing you did. Everything I wrote on my vision board this year, I've started ticking it out one after
Fantastic.
the other because you told us, you said, when you wake up in the morning, speak to your day. Tell
Hmm.
your day what you want it to look like. And
Hmm.
that's what I've been doing. If I want something in a day, I will say, this week, this is what I want, God. If it
Hmm.
doesn't manifest, I am going to flow in that abundance that is
Awesome.
manifesting.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Right. For this crucial topic, because people have said, hey, people will break table today. People will break table today. So the first question that I have for you is, and I just want folks to like get an idea of what you do at the Center for Sex Education and Family Life. So what do you do there? What,
Okay, Center
yeah.
for Sex Education and Family Life is basically an holistic family life outfit. What I wanted to create was an hospital and a school.
Mm,
An hospital that can minister or handle people's deep issues and help them, and a
mhm,
school that can instruct. So that was what I wanted to do when I started it,
mhm,
because I was coming from a position where I'd worked with over 300 commercial sex workers, from Ajebule at Good Evening Street, whom I had helped back to their families because I didn't have money to rehabilitate. So I had
mhm,
to create a strategy, and I became a menace to the owners of brothels in Ajegule that they placed
mhm,
a price tag over my head to say,
mhm,
we want to take this guy out.
mhm,
So I now noticed that the more I took girls out, the more others went to replace them. So I set up a meeting in Ajegule called Gold in the Slum. And
mhm,
I was working with young people for like 8 years of my life.
mhm,
So when I moved out of that
mhm,
space, I
mhm,
wanted to set it up as as an organization. So I set up the Center for Sex Education and Family Life basically. And what we're basically doing was to generate solutions to complex family life problems, and people could walk in and get help
mhm,
with their trauma, family trauma, and
mhm,
what have you. And it was that time when you could hardly not find any outfit in Nigeria where you could take family life to, except for maybe NGOs and all.
mhm,
I wanted to do it differently, So that was why we set it up, and it
mhm,
just grew over time, and got a consultative status in the UN. And I hand it over basically because what I do is I set up structures and I hand it over and I move on. So I moved away from Ajegule. The program still continue. It's still on today. They choose their leaders. I'm not involved. When I set up Family Center, I moved on from it, moved into the next thing,
mhm.
that's what we've done.
Oh, beautiful. And I mean, that leads me to the second question. Was that what informed you to be a life coach and family therapist? That experience you had in Ajegule, or was that just from a place of passion for humanity?
It was from a place of pain and passion. Growing up, my dad was an Anglican priest, so I would sit with him whenever he's counseling people, and he would
Mm,
send me out. Or sometimes I'd get a knock because I was interfering, but I had a defining moment in my life at the age of
mhm,
4 when I was
mhm,
sexually abused, and I was an extroverted child, became introverted. Everyone was happy that I was introverted, but it was, something had just totally gone wrong. So I just
mhm,
went very terrible, went very bad. But while I was bad, I kept asking, why was it that African women didn't have a voice? Because almost every
mhm,
typical house I went into, I saw that the men seemed to have privileges. They could do whatever they wanted to do. The women had no voice. And I
mhm,
had 4 sisters before me. The firstborn is a male. Then I have 4 sisters. So my sisters, I literally grew up with them.
mhm,
So I was there when they got into relationship. I was there when they got heartbroken. I was there. So
mhm,
I saw through everything. I read
mhm,
their M&Bs. So
mhm,
I know a lot about women folk. So I began to ask questions and nobody was answering the question. So when I left, I remember when I left, when I got to 200 level, I was studying
mhm,
accounting. I knew I wasn't going to practice as an accountant because I was more into counseling than in my class. So if
mhm,
there was someone who wanted to ask a girl out, I was the one they came to see. If the girl that was asked out wanted to give a response, I was the one she came to ask. Do you
mhm,
think I should date this guy? Do you think I shouldn't date this guy? If there was a guy double dating, I was the one that figured him out. So if I was in a fellowship where there were guys in my fellowship who were proposing to like 3 sisters at the same time. I was the one who figured them out, so because everybody confided in me. So when like 3 ladies are saying the same person came to propose to them, and I was the one they were coming to talk to, so I was the one that sorted everyone out, But I mean, some of those sisters were literally heartbroken. Some of them almost had a carryover. We will have to sit with them. I didn't know heartbreak was that damaging. I would sit with them. We would have to read with them, get them to study to pass exam and stuff, So I always knew I was going to, work in this space, but there was no course in Nigeria, no university in Nigeria offered a course in family science. So when I left school, I wanted to study any course on family science. I couldn't gain admission to Unilag for my master's. I lasted like 1 week and I left, So, So I started looking for how to go abroad, but I mean, I didn't have money. So I started thinking, okay, if I couldn't travel abroad to go and study family science, why don't I begin research and create? Maybe the body of knowledge will be useful. So I began to look for, couples whose marriages worked, those whose marriages failed. I wanted to find out why the marriages worked. Because almost everything we're hearing from the pulpit, they made us believe that the woman was solely responsible for marriage. So a wise woman built, everything was just about the woman. She must learn how to cook, you give him better sex and all those kind of things. So I started researching, and my research totally contradicted what was teaching, what they were teaching. So even the people whose marriages worked, I figured 25 couples who had done 40 years and above. Most of them didn't even know why their marriages worked. Some of them told me it was prayer. I told them it cannot just be prayers. There must be something you're doing. So I asked for permission to study them, observe them. So I began to go there to observe, to ask questions. Then I began to document, because one of the natural gifts I have, my superpower, is to convert complex knowledge into workable frameworks. So I started building frameworks. And so when I finished building the framework, I kept it on the wrap. I'd concluded it. I'd been teaching it since, but I was like, Pastor Bimbo was in that space, Pastor Lumidemana was in that space. So I just kept quiet. I said, let me veer into something they were not teaching. So I went into sexuality, because most of the ladies I was taking out of prostitution, almost all of them were victim of were victim of sexual abuse. So I wanted to create solutions that can help people prevent. So I went into that, then came back into family life. Now, when I came back to family life, I still had every of my documentation, all the courses were ready, but I was like, who will buy it? So I had an opportunity to travel, abroad, saw my mentor, and my mentor said to me, looked at it. So I said, what do you want to do with it? I said, I wanted to get affiliation with a school abroad, because I believe that Nigerians will not buy it. If you say it's UK certified or American certified, they will jump at it. And my mentor took a look at the body of knowledge, and he said something that would change me forever. He said, Praise, if instant gratification and money is what you want, go for affiliation. But I can tell you that you will be subjecting what is superior to the inferiority that they have because of platform. He said, but I bet you, if you can believe in this, if you can go back to your country and serve it afraid, persist with it, he said, I believe you have a global solution in your hand. So he said to me, he said it will take a longer time. He said, but I think it will be acceptable eventually. So came back, and some of my mentees were asking me, oh, Praise, there is a model you have that works, can you teach us? So I said, okay, if you can get about 8 of you, I'll teach you guys. So they got about 13 or 14 of them, and I put them in a room for 7 days. And I taught them model by model, and when I created the body of knowledge, I wanted to create a psychometry, because I wanted it to be scientific, because I noticed that a lot of Africans hate to go for therapy, and when they go, after about 2 sessions, it's like the same way we take medication. I don't know anybody that has been given malaria medication that finished it. Once there is improvement, they stop taking it. So I figured out that it's our psychology not to complete task. So I want them. I also noticed that a typical African man will not go for therapy, except the case has become so messy that he's looking for a way out. So I wanted to create something that will have an element of mysticism. That if you complete it like this, it will show you your life, and you almost think that the person is a magician or a prophet. So I created a 4-way psychometry assessment. That's why meditation is so powerful, right? Yes. Created them in the place of meditation, put them together scientifically, and I ran a pilot, and it was almost accurate. I mean, it was like I was a magician. So the women who came in initially, when their husbands were not willing to come, I just said, get him to fill the assessment. So every time they fill the assessment, I wrote the report and I sent it to the man. The next thing is the men are looking for me. Where is that prophet? Where that man must be a prophet. How could he have known all these things and all these things about us? You know, so that was why I was looking for how to brand it, because we're going to do copywriting, you know, and trademarking. And so I call it Oyela, you know, because when I was a child, you know, when I was watching Yoruba movie, they would say, Oyela. You know, Oyela was illumination. I didn't want a foreign name. So we called it Oyela, and we trademark it. And, you know, and so it just caught fire. A lot of people that came to class felt that this was different, because instead of sitting with counselors to be hearing their story, because you'll be subjective, just administer Oyela and 94% accuracy, you know, and that was what we did. That was why when they were doing Big Brother, Double Wala, there was trouble in the house. You know, they came to look for me and say, oh, we heard that you have one Oyela like that, and I don't watch Big Brother. So they said, can I administer it and write a report? So I wrote a report of everyone in the house. Ebuka was stunned, because it was like, are you sure you don't watch this thing? I said, I never watched it, because he picked everybody's character, picked everybody's personality, chose the manipulator, chose everyone, you know. So basically, that was how we started. I just learned to respond to every problem that I found on the way. So when I was trying to look for ways out for my girls, I found child sexual abuse problem. As I solved it, I noticed that there was a parenting problem. As I solved that, I noticed that there was marital problems. You know, so that's how we got here. And, you know, we took it to Family Life Coaching Association conference. I was the first African to attend that conference. You know, I was the only African in the room from Africa that year. And we presented the model, and the president said, that is the only model she has seen that combines therapy, coaching, and strategy and systems intelligence, you know. And so at that point, I just knew that, okay, we have something truly in our hands. And so that was how I sat in there, and I began to raise people, you know, because one of the things I also discovered about us is, as Africans, if you had a trade secret, you never shared it. You know, I didn't want to be that, because my mentor told me that you will have a chance of living forever if you can share what you know with people, you know. So he told me every session you wanted to do, put it on PowerPoint and teach the people around you. You know, so I started teaching everyone around me. And even when they left class, I was also interested in them earning money. Because, I mean, I saw certification program, when people finish, they just left it to your own. You know, you are paid so much, but they have left it to your own. I didn't feel it was right. And there were people who saw my certification program and said, Praise, break it into 4 levels. You know what, you are giving them too much. In fact, when people came to class, by the 3rd day, they're having a headache because it was information overload for them. So people said, you need to make more money from them. I said, no. Why should we make more money from them? It's about empowering people, you know. So that was how we created it. And I mean, I'm so proud that there are so many people today using the same model. We're tracking them. People are, I mean, making millions from it right now in that sector. And I'm excited at the level of work that has been done so far. I'm sitting back right now, you know, providing support for all of them, you know, opening new doors for them, you know, because no, a candle is nothing by lighting other candles. You know, we just need to ensure that we need to now let the world know that as Africans, we're not incapacitated, we're not stupid people, we're not morons, we have intelligence, we can create, and our creation can be global. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. There are people in the comments saying, oh, you're already. Don't be surprised if you go on Facebook and you start seeing, oh, you're all right. Thank you. So my question for you with regards, you know, why we're here today is, what is the best way to sustain a marriage, especially in this age and time? Because this social media age, I don't understand what is going on. So what is the best? I mean, you are happily married to an amazing woman. And perhaps you might want to also share some of the things you have done that has worked for you. I mean, it's not like one size fits all, but
no.
Just you know, give us insights.
Okay, I would say that I'm imperfect, so don't look at me as a symbol of perfection. And I also say, as an imperfect person, I've lost the right to judge other imperfect people. I stand between the living and the dead, and that's why I never take sides. Now, what I have discovered and I'll tell you what has worked for me, is that number one, the problem of marriages starts with premarital. The problem of premarital starts with parenting. If we don't parent people properly to be wholesome, we will script them to self-sabotage. So someone who did not experience love from father's side, from mother's side, who fought battles, begins to look for marriage as a means of, succor. And that is never going to work. It takes wholesome people to create a wholesome marriage. So I was damaged. I needed to find healing. And I found a bit of healing. But even during marriage, I still broke down. I went through depression. I got help. I sat before a therapist myself. Because you have demons from your past that begins to show up. But one of the things I never do is I never justify my wrong. I take responsibilities and I find a way to fix them. And so I have concluded that one, wholesome people, let people find healing. Number two, I think people should marry their kind. Now, one of the greatest challenges I found is the teaching that opposites attract. Opposite things attract. Opposite beings will eventually repel. So if you don't marry someone who vibrates at the same frequency as your energy, you are going to run into crisis. So you are an introvert, you married an extrovert. The extrovert wants to go out, wants to party, wants to touch humanity. The introvert wants the extrovert to stay at home with him all the time, doesn't want other friends. That's already crisis situation. The introvert is going to be insecure every time the extrovert manifests. So Esther goes out, wins an award. The introvert is shocked. Is wondering, why is she a lady winning the award? Why can't it be me? I should be the husband. I should be the one everybody is clapping for. So you go for an event, and because everybody knows Esther, everybody's greeting her. They don't even know her husband. The man is insecure because he doesn't understand that husband and wife are roles. Male and female is identity. Now, when we mix these things up, we are doomed to fail. So a lot of people who have not placed value, developed the male and the women, are getting into husband and wife. Now, male and female is the foundation pillar that holds husband and wife. Husband and wife are roles. Those roles are optional. Now, if you want to be a husband, there's a role description. The role description is a groomer of a bride. So you cannot be a husband if you are insecure, if you have low self-esteem, and if you cannot stand the significance of your wife. Because if you groom properly, then there's a likelihood that she may be more popular than you. And your sustenance and confidence should be the fact that you have raised someone who is successfully carrying your name at the highest level. The least you can do is to support. Now, if you don't understand this role, especially when the role is now defined by culture, so the culture will sabotage that role, and you'll begin to hear, as the head of the family, this is what you need to do. And that's what people do to destroy their family. Let me tell you. Only dead people can marry successfully. Only dead people. What that means is be dead to your ego. Be dead to what you think is right, because in marriage, you don't insist on your right, you do what is right. So what I have done is to position myself to serve my family. So I serve, there is no job that is a man's job. I do everything I need to do. If it means sweeping the floor, washing my wife's undies, cleaning the room, doing everything I need to do, I will do that. And I am forced to say I am sorry when I do wrong. Even sometimes I am right, I will still learn to say I am sorry. Right? And so I also recognize that both of us are from different orientation. So we would see things differently. So we are allowed to disagree. Right? We are allowed to disagree because we were not born from the same father. Even we were born from the same father, we didn't have the same experience. So consistently, we built a system that before we got married, we were clear what is our family vision, what are our family values, what are our weaknesses, right? And what are we going to handle things if stuff happens? Those things were clearly defined, right? And so we also had accountability partners. I mean, people who could call us to order. So my wife had people that she can report me to, and they will call me and they will say, "Praise, sit down, I'm not going to stand up." So I cannot outgrow those people, because if I outgrow them, I become a monster. And that's why rule of thumb for me, if you are dating someone who has no accountability over his life, who has nobody that can call him to order, is a deal breaker. No, no, don't go anywhere near that person. If he says God is the only one is accountable to, ask him to take a signature from God for God to sign that I'm the one who is standing for him, because God may not know him, right? So don't let people mess you up. So for me, it's about consistent development. And there's a framework that we embraced to get to where we are. We have all kinds of framework, and we have a day in the family called Open Day, which I recommend. It's a day where you are allowed to say whatever you want to say, the way you want to say it. Nobody must get angry. Nobody must be defensive. Nobody must use what is said against the person. And if what is said is significant, you must change. You must change. So my first Open Day was terrible, because my wife looked at me and said, "You irritate me." That was the right word she used. And that didn't hit me right. But I can't get angry, so I have to pretend as if I'm happy, you know. But why was I irritating her? She said I was always rushing my food, and my cutlery was always making noise. Honestly, I didn't know I was rushing my food. But why was I rushing my food? I grew up from a family of 7. Then I went to a school of Fowowe, that the people that finish their food early, I mean, the people that have finished their food early will come and join you to finish your food. So the way to survive from my childhood was to rush my food so that they don't join you, especially in the days of rice. So I had done that rushing over and over again, that even when the enemies disappeared, I was still rushing my food. So I had to, you know, listen to her, and I said I will make a conscious effort to change it. So I did that, and by the 3rd week, she said, "Okay, you have really, really improved." You know, but many a time couples don't talk to themselves because somebody feels you have no right to talk to me. No, you married a helpmate, not a servant. The moment you look at the opposite sex and you can't see the feminine representation of you, then there's going to be problem. And that's why in one of the assessments in Oyela, which is culture compatibility test, we recommend it compulsorily for anyone that wants to get married, because it will reveal whether the person is going to beat you, whether the person is going to shout on you. Because the moment a man feels is superior to a woman, husband feels is superior to a wife, or when it comes to who should cook, you feel it's someone that should cook, and the other person feels no, it's not everybody that should cook. Or when it comes to money, somebody feels somebody should make money, or other person. Once there is beliefs incompatibility, that is unequal yoke. An unbeliever is someone who doesn't believe what you believe. Both of you can be Christians, but you can still be unbeliever to yourself. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that there are other people who may believe what they believe. So let kind bond. Let opposites go their separate way and find their kind and bond with them. I think if this becomes a critical message across board, people will begin to get help to know that, hey, I need to find a higher reason to get married, but it must start from self-assessment. Because I've seen too many good people who have gotten into bad marriage. And what we must tell people is that it takes 2 to build a marriage. There is nothing a good person can do when the bad person has vowed to destroy the marriage. Right. True. And when that good person makes it out, can we celebrate them and know that it's not their fault? Instead of shouting and say, our marriage has broken or his marriage has broken. No. Good people can have bad marriages. As a matter of fact, you can have a good man, a bad husband, and a good father. Right? Because husband and fatherhood are roles. You can have even a bad woman who is a good wife and a good mother. Right? Because those are roles. Roles is a function of knowledge. So when people are humble enough to know that I want to go into marriage, I may be a celebrity, a top actor or actress, but that celebrity knowledge is not enough to build a marriage. Can I humble myself to find and ask and get help and sit with professionals? And if you say, I want to sit with a professional, the guy you are dating or the lady you are dating says, no, why would I go and sit before any man? That is someone who is not accountable, because he will not go with you for counseling. These red flags show up, but oftentimes love is blind. But I say 21st century love should not be blind. It should hire binoculars. Wear binoculars so that you can see from afar, because we will always need help, and always find that person who has no stake in your life who can tell you the truth. So I think if we build a system around what makes marriages work and people can go through that process, I think we will have a lot of more successful marriages.
Amazing. Before I go to the next question, because you said something and I want to ask a general question, this thing about praying for your partner. Now, what is the best way to separate spirituality from reality? Let's say, for example, someone takes one of your courses, right? The course that you mentioned. And they find out that this person might be an abuser in the future. But then the pastor already told this man or woman that, that is your husband, though. And then there's also the, cultural bias that will come to play. Why would you listen? So how should we balance that kind of thing? Like, how do we balance it up?
Now, let me say that no pastor should tell you who your husband is. If any pastor tells you who your husband is, and you take a decision based on what that pastor said, the first thing you have done is that you have acknowledged that you are not an adult. Because marital choice is a choice you must make by yourself with your eyes wide open. In fact, God can tell you this is your spouse and he will still fail. Guaranteed. Right? Because it's not, if God says, praise, you're going to become president of Nigeria, and I now go and be sleeping with prostitutes up and down, I'll catch HIV and I'll die, JJ. Even God will be surprised. So it's not there is that the fact that God has said something means nothing, actually. Right? If you don't add knowledge, right, it will still fail. And two of you must actually add knowledge. So having said that, I do not believe that prayer can manipulate anyone out of a behavior. I don't think so. Right? Prayer can change you. Then you can change things. But and it's not in your hand. In fact, if you pray and God says, I'm going to change him, God is not bound by your time. God can still change him on his deathbed at the age of 90. The question is, are you willing to wait till that age? Because the Bible says that a day is like 1,000 years. So if God says, I will change him tomorrow, he might be talking about 1,000 years or maybe on his deathbed. But what would have happened to you? Are you willing to carry that cross or something? So it's, and it's sad because I see these things. You and I live in the US and we see how people make life very easy for themselves, when things don't work. But we have a lot. In fact, let me say this carefully. Most of the people who want you married, they have their own interest that they are looking to protect. Your mother wants you married because she wants a grandchild. It's not because she's totally interested in your happiness, right? Maybe your pastor wants you married because when you get married, church will increase. When you start giving birth, extra church member and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's you. It's you that will receive the beating, the slapping, the torture, the trauma. So you want to check and be sure there's no trauma in this person's life. Because if trauma, I've been married for 15 years. I have not called my wife stupid in 15 years. Not once. Not raised my voice once. I've not beaten her at any time. Why? There is no beating in me. I've not even prayed, God, don't let me beat my wife. It's not a prayer point. The things I'm praying for are totally different. Right? So it's very, very important. And there is a material we take people through called user's manual. Your user's manual is a document that clarifies. I don't know if I've made you go through it, Esther. If I've not, I'm going to opt you in and I'll make you go through it. It's a document that clarifies your life. It states who you are. It states your strengths, your weaknesses. It states your fantasies. It states your deal breaker. It states how you get angry and how you recover. Then when you now list all those things, it now shows you the kind of men that can marry you and the kind of people that can marry you. By yourself, you will now find out where are these men found or where are these women found. So people want God to do for them what he has empowered them to do. So that when it fails, they can now say, the woman thou gavest me. No, you need to take your choice by yourself. And unfortunately, people have been damaged by all kinds of teaching that has shrunk the worldview through which the sample space that they can choose a spouse. I work with a lot of people from Nigeria who want to get married, but you see their sample space is too low. Their sample space is Igbo, because I am Igbo, because of the knowledge that they have put in their head. The sample space is Yoruba, because I am Yoruba. What if your sample space is the whole world? What if there's a Japanese? What if there's a Canadian? What if there is someone from Japan or from China? But if your worldview, your reticular activating system is so strong that it cannot recognize those people, you will likely pick someone that is wrong from your locality when the people that vibrate at your level are not within your locality. And that is why we said that your vibe determines your tribe. Your tribe is not the tribe you were born into. Your tribe is those group of people who think the way you think, whose madness is in line with your madness, whose behavior is in line with your behavior, whose worldview is in line with your worldview. Guess what? You will need to find them and bond with them because they don't just show up in your locality. So, for example, someone like Esther, your tribe